Somebody call the FTC, because Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Jon Bernthal have a monopoly over the box office right now. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or depending on what time you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Decided to break out my special Spider-Man mug for this specially themed episode. Got this bad boy back in 2005. I've had this for over 20 years. Got it from good old classic Islands of Adventure, if you can see it inside the mug. Anyways, I thought I'd hop on today because, to nobody's surprise, Spider-Man Brand New Day came out swinging big. However, just how big that was going to be took a lot of people by surprise. So this article came out yesterday from Variety. It is from Jordan Moreau. The headline reads, Spider-Man Brand New Day sets box office record with 72 million in previews, beating Avengers Endgame. What? When I saw this, I was like, okay, obviously people love Spider-Man. Now I have to admit, I'm one of those people that contributed just a little bit to the 72 million. I saw the movie 3 times. So 3 times whatever the ticket was. Not only that, there was my sister that was with me the second viewing, and then my friend that was with me later that night. So I basically paid for 5 Spider-Man tickets before it technically even came out, which is kind of an interesting topic that I got onto after the last screening with my friends. And it was this. My one friend basically told me he couldn't believe that one of the theaters was showing this movie as early as like 12 o'clock 1 p.m. screenings, and I was like, yeah, no, that's not surprising to me at all. And then my other friend, who's around the same age as me, brought up how when, back in, can't believe I'm saying this, back in the old days of 2012, we were telling the stories of going to see the first Avengers movie, and we had to basically wait in line for hours just to get a good seat, and that's when they actually did midnight screenings. And it's just kind of funny how, a movie says it comes out on this day, but it's really not that day anymore. For example, Spider-Man Brand New Day, coming July 31st. But really, a movie comes out the day before, essentially. It used to be, like I was bringing up the example with Avengers, it used to be back in the day, the movie came out on Friday, but really they did like a midnight release. They would do the midnight release to technically say it was still Friday, but for people that wanted to see it just a little bit earlier, you actually went Thursday night. And then at some point, that became, well, let's do a little bit earlier screenings on Thursday for people that don't want to stay up that late. And I do remember this around the time I was in film school. I remember seeing movies like, I want to say it was like Star Trek Into Darkness. Instead of a midnight showing, they were doing like a 10 p.m. showing on Thursday. So it started to change a little bit there. And then eventually that became, well, let's do even earlier screenings in the day. And then cut to where we are right now. Well, movies basically come out the day before it says it's coming out. I have no problem with that. But really, when these numbers come out and it's saying that Spider-Man made X amount of dollars opening day, really it's not quite that. It made this much Thursday and Friday. So really it made that much in 2 days. But just jumping back into this article. So Spider-Man Brand New Day it broke a box office record, which I was not expecting at all. Avengers Endgame made $60 million in its previews. Spider-Man Brand New Day beat that by $12 million. Now, just to put this into perspective a little bit, Spider-Man Brand New Day made the same amount of money domestically in its previews that Supergirl made in its entire run. I mean, if you're on DC right now, are you just like feeling that spanking right now? Your bottom is as red as this Spider-Man cup. You might ultimately be like, okay, well, it beat Avengers Endgame. That means it's going to be the biggest opening weekend of all time. Well, let's hold that for just a second. Before this article came out, Spider-Man Brand New Day, I think they were projecting it at $180 million opening weekend, which is really good. However, it would not have been the biggest of all time. In fact, it would not have even been the biggest Spider-Man opening of all time. I think No Way Home was in like the 200 millions. So 180 million though, I was like, yeah, that's still really, really good. And then this came out and I'm like, oh, this movie's gonna make easily 100 million plus in just technically that opening night, which again would be Thursday, Friday. So by the time Sunday comes around, it's it's easily going to be in the 200s domestically. Now, Sony's playing it safe. They are still giving it what the article refers to as a conservative start of 190 million to 195 million. I mean, by the time Saturday rolls around, is already 100 million plus. So it's going to breeze past 190 million. And some people have it going in between 260 and 280 million domestic. But if those numbers were to be true, 260 to 280, that would mean that Spider-Man Brand New Day would be the second biggest opening weekend of all time behind Avengers Endgame. So Spider-Man No Way Home actually made 260 million opening weekend. Star Wars The Force Awakens made 247. And Avengers Infinity War made 257. So if Spider-Man Brand New Day is in the higher half of that range, so let's say 270 to 280, then yes, it would be the second biggest opening weekend of all time. And this is coming shortly after one of the highest grossing R-rated movies of all time with The Odyssey, which by the time that movie is done, and that's going to be going for a while because there was another article that just came out that The Odyssey is going to be extending its 70mm IMAX run into September. So that's going to be going for a long time. And I'm still looking at showtimes and they are selling out like hotcakes. That's going to be hitting probably 500 at least, I'd say. And then definitely 1 billion worldwide. If you're Tom Holland, Zendaya, John Bernthal, man, you are just crushing it at the box office. And it makes me think, like, is that going to be like a record for like the highest grossing per year for a movie star for those three? By the time these two movies are done combined, they're going to be domestically $1 billion. So anyways, I just wanted to hop on, talk about how Spider-Man Brand New Day absolutely crushed it. You know, before the movie started, Tom Holland did come on and say thank you to the fans. And you know, you're welcome, Tom. All right.
See you, chump.